quick introduction because we lost some time here due to technical difficulty, but welcome to our Wednesday webinar. We have a great presenter who stuck with this throughout the technical difficulties, and we finally got her on from our phone. We hear you loud and clear, so we'll let you chat a little bit about yourself, but we have a very accomplished commercial realtor here with us today, Patricia Valente. She is principal at New Mark's Westchester, Connecticut office, specializes in the representation of both tenants and owners throughout Westchester and Connecticut region. She has a list of big corporate organizations that she has helped through the leasing and purchasing, I guess, of commercial property. So without further delay, thank you for being with us, Patricia.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I think one of the first steps in breaking into commercial real estate is learning how to use Zoom. So I'm very sorry if I kept you. I know time is money and no one likes to be delayed. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. I'm honored to be your panelist this afternoon. And I think it's, important that we all try to work to help each other and grow in whichever way we can. So my story briefly, I started my career in real estate back in the day when commercial real estate was pretty quiet. So I went into residential real estate for 6 months, and I really didn't like the environment that I was in. I found it to be very unprofessional. I was a few years younger, and I just felt that there are days when they give you the wrong keys to go show properties. Things have changed since then, but it was great opportunity for me to pivot into commercial real estate. So I basically went into commercial real estate because I have some friends that own a company in the city, and I saw how they were living, and I saw them driving around with a driver, and I just figured, why can't I do that? So without any experience, I asked around for a job, and I ended up with a local commercial real estate company that had 4 people in it. I realized after 1 year, if I was going to make this a career, that I had to jumpstart and get out of there. So I made some phone calls. I called the largest developer in Westchester County, and I invited him to lunch. So when he actually got on the phone, I just wanted to melt. He asked me what it was about. And I basically said, I'm thinking about, the market. I'm thinking about making some changes. I'd love to hear your vision about your company. Long and short is he met me for lunch. We talked about family. We talked about business. And before I knew it, he was offering me a job. So I think what we all need to do sometimes is just do what we feel uncomfortable doing. And it's not easy on a Friday afternoon to start dialing different owners and developers asking if they would meet with you. So with that being said, I joined the Robert Martin Company, which was a full service commercial real estate company. They owned over 7 million square feet. And basically it was like getting a master's in real estate because of the fact that I was exposed to, marketing, construction, leasing, legal. It was an excellent education. There were deals that come across my desk where I'd pay outside brokers, and some commissions were 100,000, some were 50, some were 30, some were 180. And I just said to myself, you have half a brain, you can do this. So I started interviewing with different large groups, and I took the plunge, and I left a very big salary, and I left a huge bonus, and I went to zero. So basically, as you all know, in residential, you start out, we're in an eat what you kill business. So I went from a cushy expense account, bonus, weekly salary to a zero. So it's been a tremendous experience. I've never looked back. And I think what we all need to do, if you're thinking about making that change or pivoting, I think you need to be a self-starter. This is a business that's very difficult. It's very, very competitive. And the the best advice I can give is that if you have any commercial leads, you should establish a relationship with a commercial broker in your community. And then he or she can work with you and help you learn the business a little bit. And then there's no need not to shy that away. Because you sell a home, it doesn't mean you can't lease an office. Basically, you just align yourself with a brokerage firm and, you agree on a fee. And then you either get involved or you don't get involved. But if you really want to get into this side of the business, I would say, there are a couple of books out there. There's Commercial Real Estate for Dummies. I have it on my desk. I like to look up things sometimes. You could take a course with LIBOR. You could take online classes, in-person classes. You don't need a different degree. It's the same residential exam that we all took or take. And if you want to get your broker's license, you don't need to be a broker to be a commercial real estate sector. You just need a salesperson's license. So it's all about, you don't need to be a math wizard. You need to be good with people, no different than we all are, right? It's just that you have to take the time. It's a lot of time. You can't do commercial real estate part-time. You could do residential part-time, but you cannot do this business part-time. I'm a little insane. I get up sometimes 2 a.m. in the morning and I'm shooting off emails to clients or to other brokers to get information. Because, time is money. Basically, there's different sectors of it. You can get involved in the property management side of commercial real estate. That's a good entree. And what you do is you work for a property manager and they manage different commercial properties, and you learn the business from, the first step all the way up to the 30th step. You could also be a real estate appraiser. You can get a real estate appraiser license and learn the business that way. One of the best ways to learn commercial real estate is to go to a company that provides a research department. And there's many people that I work with who started as a research analyst, and it doesn't even matter what age you are. And that teaches you the industry, teaches you the landlord, teaches you the properties, it teaches you the players. And, that's another way of getting into the business. And then if there's an opportunity, you get to know the people a little bit more intimately than going in blind. I know I make it sound very easy. I went from a paying job to a very large commercial real estate company. And I really thought I knew the team I was going to work with. And shortly after I got there, they turned out to be not the people I thought I was getting into business with. So after 1.5 years of the manager trying to make a change, I was approached by another company, and I went there, and that company was called Newmark, and that was 20 years ago. So it's been a tremendous experience. Our main office is located in the city. What I do different than the folks in my office, I work in my New York City office once a week. And why do I do that? I do it because I have the networking opportunity to work with people that may not know me or who may want to have questions about the marketplace that we're in Westchester and Connecticut. So, you get back what you put in. So if you just think you're going to sell a building, it doesn't really work like that. Also, another great way of getting involved is working on a team. And even if the team wants you to do things you're not comfortable with, that's how you're going to learn the business. There's no shortcut to learning commercial real estate. You just really need to be a self-motivated person. There's not a lot of hand-holding on this side, but if you're a smart person, you could just jump in and make it happen. I know a lot of real estate residential brokers are tentative, and they say, I don't do that. It's too much work. It's too involved. It's really not involved if you take baby steps to getting there. I think some related courses can help you get more comfortable or reading a book. I still read books. I like to sharpen my axe. I still take classes. And I think shame on any of us if we think we're just going to wake up and make it happen. You know, it's what you put into it. And every day is an opportunity. Every day, every conversation you have with someone can turn into business, whichever side you're on. I urge you all to get involved in the community. I chair the largest real estate networking event in Westchester County. Last year, we raised $1 million at a breakfast. I didn't start out as a chairperson. I started out as a committee person, and I kept raising my hand and raising my hand. Then I co-chaired it. Now I chair it. I probably have 15 to 20 people on my committee. And you need to network in commercial real estate. I think it's a little bit more important that you really network 24/7. Don't be afraid to tell people what you do. And most importantly, I think we all need to feel comfortable with asking for the order. Asking for the order is not easy. What's the worst that someone can say to us? It's no, or I'm not interested. Another way to get into the business, you could just read online. You don't need to spend money on classes. You could just Google commercial real estate and read about leasing, read about the market and what's going on. I turn on, since COVID, every morning I turn on CNBC. I used to turn on Channel 4, a lot of giggling on Channel 4 and 7 and 5. But if you're in business, you want to understand what's going on around you. And a lot of the conversations that are on the business shows, you can just parlay into your discussions, whether or not you're doing residential or commercial. And I think it just makes you a smarter person, and it gives you one up on your competition. You know, everyone wants to know what's going on in the marketplace. So you should be really in tune with the markets that are around you, even commercially. You should understand what the buildings around you in your market are going for. Even if you can't talk the talk, just, know a range, know if they're office, industrial, try to stop in a building and just walk through to see, what's happening and what amenities they have. I think sometimes maybe it could be an easier transition if you take baby steps. As I said earlier, there's just no jumping into this. I think if you have relationships with lawyers that you work with, they can help you as well. They can introduce you to people. If you just don't want anyone ever to think that you just do one thing. Like, you don't want to be pigeonholed in a corner. He or she, they're a residential broker. You want to be a person who's well-versed and who can assist and refer people. You can make a very good living with commercial referrals, as I alluded to earlier, rather than saying, I don't do that. That's why I think networking is so important, to network with people who do what I do every day that can help you.
Patricia, we have 2 questions. Do you think we could take a look at those right now?
Sure.
Anthony asks, why do you feel commercial real estate should be a full-time position?
I feel like I know it's a full-time position because there's so much changing in the marketplace every day. And this is not a part-time business. I don't know anyone who's successful who does this part-time, unless you have a trust fund where you can, opportunity, time is money, and you need to be in the game. You can't be, people ask me all the time, can you play golf? And I say, I can't play golf. I need to go to work. I need to think of opportunities, or you don't want to pass on an opportunity because you're out on the golf course with friends. But playing golf and playing tennis, those are ways to expand, your relationships. I don't know anyone in my marketplace who's successful doing it part-time. And I'm talking about Fairfield County and Westchester.
And we had another question asking, coming from residential, what's the best way to get into the commercial side? Especially in Nassau County, if you have any input on that.
We have a few offices in Nassau County. The best way is to get how to get into the business, like I said earlier, is basically to either take classes with like LIBOR or any other online related commercial real estate group, or just read. You could just read online. You could just get a book on commercial real estate, elementary, steps. It's not that hard. It's not, the most hardest part is understanding your market. So what they do in New York City, brokers don't cover all of New York City. They cover sections. Who handles Midtown, who handles the Soho area, who handles Uptown. And so you become an expert in one area, and then you can talk the talk, and all of a sudden people around you just gravitate to you because you know exactly what's going on. You know who's moving from which building to that building. You know what's for sale. You know who's selling what. That's why I said earlier, I don't know how anyone can think they can do this part-time.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I don't want to sound like it's difficult to get into. I just think that you need to put energy into it. And it's like anything else. If you're going to learn a sport, you can't play it once a month. You're not gonna get any better. So the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. And then, once again, I like helping people. I'm always trying to help people. If someone has a requirement, to help them understand who to go to get advice. If any of you have questions, I welcome you to call me, to ask me anything that you may, want to know about commercial real estate. And there's no bad questions. So if any of you have a question right now, they're all good questions to ask. It's just, I know this is all new. A lot of people, in the market we're in, let's talk about the market for a second. There's always money to be made in both markets, and there's always opportunity. And someone always needs to relocate, or someone always needs to move. So you just have to seek out the opportunities that are out there, or you just have to, try to figure out ways to contact companies that may have a need. And that's why I said earlier, by reading the journal, by reading the business section of the Times, by listening to business shows, it'll just alert you to sectors who are growing. And the growing industries are the ones that you want to zoom in on. You do research. You could send a letter if you don't want to try cold calling. Listen, our business is a lot of knocking on doors, and it's calling people that you've never spoken with before. And what's the worst they could say? I'm not interested. Or they could say, I'd love to get some information from you. Can you follow up with me next month? So a lot of what we do, is chasing the ball, but it pays off. You can do exceptionally very well doing commercial real estate. You can make millions of dollars. You can make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And once again, if you want to do it part-time, maybe you could make $20,000. But it takes a good solid year to really understand what you're doing. And I can guarantee you're going to make money for the first 12 to 15 months. So, it's no different than residential. There's no guarantee because you're going to sell a house that you're going to make a sale in the first 7 months that you join a real estate company. So I think it's what I said earlier, you get out of it what you put in. I wake up, I'm so excited every day. I can't wait to come to work. I can't wait to meet new people. And, if you're interested and you know what's going on around you in the world and in business, people gravitate to you, and they want to work with you. They want to talk with you, and they want to be part of your team. So, you need enthusiasm, you need good energy, and you need to be committed. And it's hard because there are days I go home and I'm like, wow, I didn't make any money today. You just have to take a step back and say, what did I do? What can I do differently tomorrow? And, to make, to bring a deal back to life. And then there's the sales aspect of it. Sales, sales is not easy. It's not hard, but with the interest rates on the rise right now, that market is somewhat drying up. Maybe it's no different than the residential market. When the rates were lower, everyone was getting a very high return. It's no different in commercial. A lot of the landlords have taken properties off the market. And also the lenders will not lend money in a lot of cases now to commercial office buildings, because we still have a lot of people who are working from home. And it's very unpredictable to predict long-term commitments with leases now. A lot of companies are looking to write 3 and 5 year deals, where before they do 7 to 10. But then again, I had a law firm I've been working with my entire career last night that told me that he would go for a 15-year deal. So it's just hard to gauge it. But I encourage all of you to at least to explore the opportunity. If you have the drive and you have the desire to get into this market, to get into this sector, there's never a bad time. Sometimes when it's a little bit slower, it's a good time for us to gear up and learn something we don't know.
We got quite a few questions after you mentioned that. Do you have time to answer some of these now?
Of course.
So Toby asks, how important is financial modeling to break into commercial real estate?
I mean, listen, we all need to know how to add, but commercial modeling, you don't need to know commercial modeling when to get into the real estate market, because first of all, it depends. If you work for a large company like I have, we have a financial group, and they run the analysis for us. So we're really not running the analysis ourselves. We could do the plain vanilla ones. The modeling, if you do an analysis for someone, you have to be able to have the whole commercial financial modeling on the computer. Not everyone has that. But if you just, if you just take a course in financial analysis, then, you can easily learn how to model. But most of the companies, have software that can assist you.
We have quite a few questions asking about any resources and classes that you would recommend for people trying to get into the commercial real estate market.
Yeah, I would. I would urge anyone to take a class on an elementary financial analysis. Going back to the previous question, that can never hurt you no matter what you do in life. Marketing, okay, marketing is always good. Even though we all think we know how to network, there are classes on networking. Okay, they're very helpful tools. Also, I would take a class in communications. When I was in college, I took a communications class. It was the best thing I ever did. They make you stand up and speak in front of people. You need to be comfortable with yourself. Knowledge is power. You need to learn how to communicate. People don't have a lot of time to listen to you, so you've got to be concise. And I know it sounds like, it doesn't sound like it's a tough thing to do. When you get someone on the phone, you need to be smart. You need to have your notes in front of you. And because if they start firing off questions, you never want to say you don't know. You want to say, let me get back to you. So I think you need to, any class in organization is good. But I think, your LIBOR group has great teachers, and you can go online or in person and see what they're offering. And I think it's probably similar to the items that I just mentioned.
All right, great. That was a great answer. Let me see, what else do we have? There's a couple questions asking about ways to find business owners and building owners. And
Yeah, so what you
yeah.
do is, what you do is you go online, and I'm sitting in Stamford, Connecticut now. So you go online. Well, we have a setup called CoStar, and some of you may know LoopNet. That is the commercial real estate um, online directory to get information on properties. I know you don't have that in residential, but what you can do is you just go online and say you're looking at Stamford, Connecticut. You Google Stamford, Connecticut developers, Stamford, Connecticut office landlords, Stamford, Connecticut industrial owners. And that's what you do. And that's how you get information. And that's how you get the contacts.
Annie's asking, how does commission work for commercial properties?
Okay, so how commission works, we get paid all up front. Just to give you an example, in the state of Connecticut, the commission is 5% per annum. So that's 25% for a 5-year deal. So you take, if a rent is $50 a square foot and you're looking at 5,000 square feet, you times 50, 5 times 5,000, you get an annualized rental. Electric is not included. You times that by 0.5, and there's usually an increase. So the next year, maybe it's 52, and then that's how you get it. And you add 1 to 5, and the free rent, any rental concession is taken out of your commission unless you structure a deal that's a 5-year, 5 months. And so then the landlord gets the 5 months that they gave your client back on the end.
Awesome. All right, we just have just a few more here. Are there any commercial associations that you would recommend getting involved with?
Yes, every community has something different. There's BOMA, Building Owners Managers Association. That's a good organization. That also opens your eyes to different groups, different vendors participate in that. There's NAIOP. That's a National Association of Industrial Real Estate and Office. You could also get involved with REFA is another commercial real estate organization. There's CREW. That's another organization. Depending on where you all live, you could just, once again, Google and say organizations in my, in a 3 to 5 mile radius in commercial real estate. So like I said earlier, I got involved with the March of Dimes. The March of Dimes, there's a real estate component to the March of Dimes. And then they have it in Long Island, they have a chapter in Connecticut, New Jersey, Westchester. And that has turned out to be a very large networking event. So if any of you have an opportunity to look into where there's an event by you, you can go, and all these people that I'm speaking about are there. As I mentioned, I chair that event. I received an email from one of the owners afterwards, and he said, Patty, I'm not sure if this is in your wheelhouse, but we'd love to have you possibly sell our 20,000 square foot retail condominium for us. So just by being exposed to people and going to organizational events, you just don't know who you're shaking hands with.
All right. Let's see if we have any other ones before we wrap up. Christine asked if you're familiar with Crexi in addition to CoStar and LoopNet.
I'm not, but I actually just heard about it last week. I think what it is, it's just another group that's coming in to compete.
Yeah. All
But
right,
that works.
um,
It doesn't matter
yeah.
which one, there's a lot of information on these networks. And you can go in and look up any building address. So if it's 299 Park Avenue in the city, it tells you everything. It tells you how many floors, it tells you the square footage, it tells you who the landlord is. It gives you some information about the utility in the building.
Great. So if
You know,
anyone else has, yeah, if I was just saying, if anyone else has any other questions, you can put in the chat. Otherwise, if you have anything else you want to add, Patricia.
no, I just say, honestly, I'm always willing and available to speak with anyone. And like I said earlier, there's never a bad question. And I don't know all the answers. I still try to figure it out. And with COVID, we all had to learn how to re-engineer ourselves and our businesses. So, we just have to, you got to think smarter, but I think it's given us an opportunity to be smarter about the approach to our business day. And if anyone thinks that we need to do business the way we used to, I think it's a mistake. I think you need to be, innovative. I think it's very important to connect. People like to talk about what's going on around you. So the more well-versed you can be, whichever side you decide to work in, will only benefit you. And I so much appreciate your time. And I'm so sorry that I was unable to, Zoom in earlier.
Great. We appreciate you coming by. We actually had one more question that popped up. Andre's asking, in the Westchester area, if you don't have a car, would that affect your business?
Unfortunately, you need a car for this business because unless you want to take Ubers around, it can get quite costly. And if you need to meet someone and they want you to bring them to a location, that's going to be a problem because, the buildings are not that close together. And then it's a problem. It's not cost effective to have a car service. You really need a car. You need a car whether or not you're a residential or commercial real estate broker.
All right.
Unless you're in New York City. And if you're in New York City, you don't need a car. So that's another market you could jump into.
Yeah. Is there any contact information that we could give the participants if they have any questions in the future?
Yeah, of course. You have my email address. You have my office number. You can, feel free to share that with the group. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have that may come to you tomorrow or next week.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for that. For everyone listening, I will put that information in the recording of this video if you want to access it. And that's available on LArealtor.com Wednesday webinars. All right. Thank you, Patricia, so much. You have anything else you want to close with?
No,
Listen,
this was really fun, and it's a great business no matter which side you're on. And don't be afraid if you want to try to learn the commercial market, do it in baby steps, make relationships with brokers. And, people like to talk about what they do. So learn to talk about what you do and ask questions about what you don't know.
All right, great. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Sorry for the technical difficulties we had today. And you can see the recording online later today. All right. Thank you, Patricia. Talk to you later.
Have a great day. Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. Thank you.